Hey, what's up? I'm Jason Howell, and I've spent the last, week and a half with this. This is the Dell Venue 10 7000 convertible tablet. A few different pricing options. For $499, you get a 16 gig version, or you can upgrade that to $629, and it comes with the little keyboard dock here. Or $549, you get a 32 gig version with an upgrade to $679 for that version plus the keyboard attachment. And kind of looks a little funky, doesn't it? It's got this little cylinder down here. Those are speakers in the front. It's actually a really nice 10.5-inch tablet, larger form factor tablet. We aren't seeing a whole lot of the larger form factor Android tablets these days. I think that's kind of an experiment that companies have stopped working with, but Dell's brought it back, and I'm happy that they did. Let's take a look at the specs. This is a 10.5-inch 2560 by 1600 OLED display. That's 288 pixels per inch, so very sharp display. 2.3 gigahertz quad-core Intel Atom Z3580 processor with 2 gigs of RAM. It has 16 and 32 gig storage options. The unit that I'm reviewing here is the 32 gig tablet, and micro SD card slot for expanded memory or expanded storage. 8 megapixel rear facing cameras. And you can actually see on the back there, these are the Intel RealSense cameras, one on both sides, and then the main camera up at the top for depth sensing with your pictures. And then a 2 megapixel front facing camera, 7,000 milliamp hour battery, and 5.0.2. That's Lollipop. All right, so here's the big differentiator with this tablet. Yes, it's a funky design, but it's really solid, really tight. Everything feels very just concrete and like this could really take a beating, but it can be a little heavy on this edge. Basically, in this cylinder, you have the battery inside here. And the reason for this is the other component. This is the keyboard dock. This is what really transforms this device into more of a productivity device than just a tablet. And as you can see, it just pops right in there. Literally, I can pop it right back out and right back in. It's a really easy way to do this sort of thing. And the convertible tablet approach is awesome because it allows you to, I could swap it around and have it backwards, however you want to do it. It just basically flips all around. There we are with it sitting flush. But it's a really great design. It's pretty thin. Like I said, the cylinder is a little heavy, but that's because of the battery and the hinge mechanism, so I'll forgive it. And the speakers, the front-facing speakers, are actually pretty loud. So then when you're in the laptop mode, that actually makes it really kind of nice. If you start watching movies or whatever on here, you're going to hear it loud and crisp. Now, the other hardware component here, obviously, is the keyboard, and that's the big differentiator with the Dell Venue 10 7000 tablet. I love how they kind of thought about its integration. Down at the bottom here, when you plug in the USB power on the side, it's located at the bottom of the tablet, but at the top of the keyboard extension. And that just makes it kind of seem purposeful, seem like it was thought out and that it was placed well, as opposed to like on the top of the tablet and then it's sticking out strangely. So they did a good job there. Also, where the speakers are placed, obviously that makes things nice and loud. The trackpad is often a big downside on keyboard attachments like this, and actually I thought the trackpad works really well. It's got a nice kind of push to it, nice clickiness. Same with the keys that are also backlit in darkness. So a lot of thought was really put into this keyboard attachment, and I highly recommend if you're getting the tablet, you get the keyboard. It does cost a little bit more. You're paying anywhere around like $130 more to get the keyboard accessory added on, but I think it's worth it in the long run. The display is excellent. It's a 4:3 aspect ratio, super sharp, deep colors, definitely a selling point, a high point of this device. And you just kind of have to see it to believe it, especially on the larger screen form factor. It's nice to have really sharp, vivid colors and not see those pixels. Camera, what do I always say about tablet cameras? It's nice that they're there, but are they essential? I guess to some people they are. This tablet is no different. The pictures that I took on here ranged from good and excellent light, and some kind of close-up shots that I got of some flowers and stuff look okay. But when you're going into any environment where there isn't a whole lot of light, or there's even just okay light. You're going to get a lot of grain. The front-facing camera is serviceable for video chat, that sort of stuff. But, you know, really, you're not taking amazing pictures with the camera on this tablet. And, you know, along that line, there's the RealSense sensors on the back, which is a nice gimmick. You can see why they put it in there because they have the technology, and it certainly sets itself apart on a spec sheet. But are you going to use it all the time? Probably not. So worth checking out, but I don't think it's a selling point of this tablet. As for performance, I'd say just in general, things are rock solid. You know, skipping around the interface, things are pretty fluid. I played some games on here and had really good performance with the games, in fact, except for the fact that some of the touch screen interfaces on games are meant for smaller screen devices, but you're going to get that on any large form factor tablet. Browsing is good, except for a few stutters. I did the Verge test as well as a few other sites, and you know, image-heavy sites can be slowed down a little bit as you browse through, but I've seen much worse. Alt-tabbing through the multitasking can sometimes be quick, sometimes slow. And when you're in the keyboard environment, that's something you're going to want to do to be able to skip from one app to the next. But it wasn't a deal breaker. It's just sometimes it would take 2 to 3 seconds to kind of kick in there. And speaking of that, let's talk a little bit about the software here. This is Lollipop, and I'm really happy to see that Dell's going with more of a vanilla approach with Lollipop. There's just a tiny bit of bloat on here. Some apps that Dell has included, like their own gallery and a few others, to kind of give you access in the gallery in particular, that gives you access to some of the advanced depth processing that you get from those RealSense cameras on the back. Some keyboard issues, I would say, and that just kind of relates to Lollipop in general, right? I personally don't consider Android to be the OS when it comes to using a keyboard attachment. They don't seem like they are made with each other in mind necessarily. But as far as that is concerned, you know, it works for the most part. There's just a couple of weird things like system navigation on the keyboard doesn't necessarily match the Lollipop aesthetics. That can be a little confusing. Keyboard sometimes forces a portrait when you have your tablet and landscape in the keyboard dock. And this is actually evident in Dell's own gallery app. The first time you launch it, everything goes sideways and you're forced to look at it sideways while you wait for it to get through the onboarding process. So a few things there are a little weird, but for the most part, it's the kind of thing where if you do this for a week, you're going to feel comfortable, you're going to feel at home, and it's going to make a lot of sense to you. And finally, Android for Work is included starting with Lollipop, which basically means that IT, you know, the enterprise, they can manage and control your Android device here with the Dell Venue 10-7000. They can do that for you and isolate the business side of things from your personal side of things. So that's the Dell Venue 10-7000. I've had a lot of fun. I actually ran my entire All About Android show from last week using this as kind of a test to see how it would work in a normal environment where I use, you know, a device with a keyboard, and it worked really well. So let's take a look at the pros. It's the best keyboard dock solution for Android, hands down, that I've played around with. The display is sharp and it's vibrant. Love the display. And stock Lollipop software. You can't go wrong. All right, now let's take a look at the cons. First, Android I wouldn't necessarily is made with the keyboard in mind, like a hardware keyboard in mind. There's a few things here and there, but it's not a deal breaker. And finally, the cylinder on the tablet itself can be a little strange when it's not docked into the keyboard. So if you're thinking about just getting the tablet, you might want to think about that. Overall, if what you're looking for is a productivity environment that uses Android, then you really can't do better than the Dell Venue 10-7000. The tablet itself is a great performer in the large form factor category. And then when it docks into the keyboard, it's kind of transformational. It's a really great experience. Lollipop could use a little bit of improvements to make it even better, but overall, I think you're going to get what you want. And that makes me say that, you know, this tablet is definitely a buy. My name is Jason Howell. You can check out my reviews on All About Android. Thank you so much for watching.